Bradford Anderson, what is going on, brother?
Hey, buddy, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good.
You?
I,
You
I-
do?
you know, I thought about maybe taking a shower, and so because like you guys always
you?
have, well, because we have a guest. He has great hair. You have great hair, and
Well, you have great hair too,
that's
but you're
the
wearing.
thing. That's the thing. I was like, I should have been prepared to join the good hair party,
You should have.
and
for
I
sure.
just threw in the towel.
Yeah, and you're
I didn't put
wearing
in the
that
effort.
freaking Red Sox hat, whatever
I
that
know.
thing is.
I know. All right. Well, now that I teased our guest great hair,
Yes.
we should probably.
Well,
bring him.
I've been trying to get this guy on the podcast for a while, so thank God he said yes. We've had
Yes.
a couple of weeks off. He's had some time. He's got a kid, so I know he's busy.
Boy.
Billy Flynn from Days of Our Lives.
Hey, Billy.
Me?
Yes,
Yeah,
you.
that's-
Yes,
you're
you.
on, buddy.
You
You're
got
on.
nice hair?
Oh yeah, man.
You have amazing hair, dude. What are you talking about? That's
Don't-
James. That's James Dean right there.
Don't
What
play.
do you do, bro?
Don't play coy.
You
Don't
know
play-
the way into my heart. That is for sure.
Don't play coy. That's right.
What's
Billy,
on,
what's
gentlemen?
going on today, brother? How are you?
I'm good. It's a beautiful day out. Finally, the rain has stopped. So, and I get to talk to you two handsome gentlemen.
Wow.
Well, that's
Now,
nice.
now he's laying it on too thick. Is
Yeah.
the rain going to start up again in LA? Because up here in Northern California, I live up in Northern California. Another atmospheric river is about to strike us.
I think so. I think the end of the week and next week is supposed to rain for like 4 or 5 days straight.
You were
That's
telling me up where you live that when that other rain, that freaking river came, when you had your was it your son's birthday was outside or whatever?
Oh,
it
no.
was, and you just had it anyway.
Yeah. We just ended up doing because the first time we had to cancel it because we got sick, and then so we're like, well, we can't cancel it again. So we had a a taco truck thing come and we had about an hour and a half to eat and
Before the sky opened up.
And then it started pouring.
How old is your son?
He's like about almost 15 months.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
he's not old enough to enjoy playing in the rain.
No,
Or maybe no.
he actually loves. I mean, he loves being outside. So yeah, he does like. But at that point, at that point he wasn't.
Does he like
Now he
tacos?
probably would. What's that?
Does he like tacos?
No. I mean,
So the whole day was just a big flop.
it was for me. It wasn't for him.
Right,
really.
that's
Yeah,
the thing.
pretty
It's like
much, right.
with first birthdays, it's always interesting to plan first birthdays because you're really planning for the guests versus the kid.
Yeah.
But like it's about the picture that's gonna be that, right? I don't
Yeah,
know.
and what's funny is we forgot to take pictures. Like it was just
You were just trying to get it over with, bro.
I tell you what, I was like after that I was like I never want to do another one of these things again.
Sure.
It's I don't do birthdays for myself. My
Yeah.
wife likes to celebrate.
I think you had a great
Those-
idea because when you were telling me on set, you were like, I'm just going to have people donate to his 529 and not show up. And that's fine.
Yeah. Like we didn't do any toys, even for this one. We're like, if you want to get something, we got this thing. You can donate to that. But it was there's so much anxiety going around, and he hated it. He didn't. I mean, he was like, he didn't touch his cake. Like,
Did you get a smash cake?
We got a smash cake, and he kind of just went, eh. And that was the whole day was ruined for me.
Well,
He
but then
wasn't having nothing that
did
day.
you smash that thing? Did you get it?
I did. I ended up eating half of the cake because I was like,
Absolutely.
I'm like, I can't let this go to waste. I'm a kind of stickler about weird stuff. I'm like, all right, well, I'm just gonna eat half this thing. In his hands and his there was drool and everybody was breathing on it. I was like, I'm definitely getting some kind of sickness from this.
But yeah. Well, we're all building back our immunities slowly and
That's right.
slowly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Billy, let's start from the beginning. Where are you from?
I'm from Minnesota, little
Minnesota.
tiny town in Minnesota called St. Francis. Well,
Nice.
we moved a lot. Like we pretty much moved every year, I think, until I was maybe 12.
Within Minnesota or
In
outside?
Minnesota, yeah. Like it's just me and my mom, so we moved from apartment to apartment. Lived with my grandparents for a while. My great grandparents, who I was very very close with. And then my mom remarried when I was about 11 or 12, and they built a little house in this tiny little town with like 1,500 people.
Wow.
So I spent most of my time until I got expelled from school. I was there in St. Francis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Expelled. What year was that, or what grade was that? Were you expelled in, Billy?
I made it to my junior year and
Okay.
got expelled in my junior year. I mean, I was also removed from the home and had to go into a little juvenile detention center.
Oh.
What was your mischief of choice?
So it was multiple
All of it.
infractions.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was
Okay.
multiple infractions. So I spent my senior year in a foster home.
Wow, dude, that's
which-
now. This is not a joke. Now that's
No,
pretty.
no.
That's pretty heavy
But,
stuff.
you know,
though.
well, yeah, and without getting too far into it, like on this side of it, have you thought about like what were you looking for?
Probably attention,
Yeah.
Yeah.
love. I mean,
There you go.
know,
Yeah, that's true.
it's a weird thing. I mean, like I said, so my mother remarried when I was 10 or 11. My brothers are my oldest brother's 12 years younger than me. So it almost became kind of like,
Wow.
well, I was almost basically an only child, and then my mother had this whole other family.
Yeah.
So, you know, yeah, probably that. But I mean, you know, if I'm honest with it now, like I'm just kind of wild. Like I'm just wild at heart. I just kind of wanted to. I've always just wanted to do wild and bad.
Okay,
There
without taking a crazy detour, how does that manifest now?
A lot of
a lot of self-control,
yeah, a lot of praying,
a lot of restraint, a lot of self-control.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, age plays a big factor in it, but yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like I'm, you know, if you buy into horoscopes at all, I'm a Gemini. I'm like, and I'm a walking, you know, like a walking example of what that would probably be. But yeah, I mean, you know, family stuff mixed with, you know, I mean, at the root of it, it was probably wanting attention and standing out and needing love and all of that stuff, and that manifested in realizing that you know, and also like I was in like where I went to school, kids snowmobiled and four-wheeled to class.
Right. I was gonna say, like when you get in trouble at that age, are you kind of pillowed a little bit by the fact that you're in
well, I think that was the difference. I was never that is what I meant. Like I was like you know, I was always like, I wanted to wear nice clothes. I wanted to comb my hair. Like I you know, my great grandfather was a military man, and like so appearance and everything was important to me. You always had to go out of the house looking. But in my school, like I was teased because of it. So the kids that in order for me to find community, like, and I was an athlete, but like that in my school, that wasn't necessarily the cool kids.
Right. It was more of an outdoorsy crowd.
It was like, you know,
camping, hunting kind of thing.
The dirt bikers.
So just don't shower and ride a dirt bike, and you're fine.
So if the community that you know, in order to kind of enter that community, you had to kind of do some bad that involves drugs, that involves some breaking of laws and fighting and that kind of things, and like, which couldn't have been more opposite of what I was. So I was, again, like it's like a Jackal and Hyde.
Yeah.
I mean, I was terrified to fight.
Yeah.
You know, but like, yet you're forced into these scenarios where like you have to be it was a weird,
tough.
It was a tough one.
I
mean, not tough in terms of whatever, but for me,
hey man, look, it's tough. Yeah.
Well, transitioning out of that into what was the post high school decisions, or like in high school, you're like, because were you in the arts at all?
No, funny enough, I always wanted to be, but so I was a very good hockey player. And you know, we didn't have a whole lot of money, so I was always like choices. I could always do one or the other. Like I remember when I was like probably 7 or 8, I really wanted to join the Boy Scouts. And it was either join the Boy Scout, and also with the single mother, there's no time to go from thing to thing to thing.
Sure. Yeah.
So I had to choose between hockey and Boy Scouts. So I chose hockey. And then when I was like 15, I wanted to get into acting.
What sparked that? Was it something, or was it just an ongoing?
No, I mean, I remember since I was little, like the first movie I remember, my great grandparents and my great grandmother, they loved music and they loved they loved old films and things like that. And I remember watching The Sound of Music when I was really little, and I was like mesmerized.
Yeah.
I would sit there 3.5 hours as a little kid. I mean, the attention span for children.
Oh,
Zero.
sure.
Zero.
Right? Yeah,
And I
yeah.
would watch 3.5 hours of this movie, and I would like laugh, and I would,
Yeah.
I was in love. So that I've always wanted to do that.
Sure.
And then I remember there was a moment when I was like, oh, I think I want to pursue that. But again, it was kind of like, you get to choose this or you get to choose that.
Yeah.
And I was good at hockey. And the other thing also, like, again, when you're a kid who doesn't mind playing dress up and doesn't mind combing your hair at a school where most of the kids probably had fleas. That thing scared me. So I took the easy choice, and I played the sports. And then I just went back and forth with that idea until I was, and then so I ended up dropping out of school at like 17 and just started doing construction full time. And
oh wow.
And then a girl brought me to college. She went to college, and I cried forever, for months, because basically her going to school was the end of us.
Yeah.
And then so I was like, well, I'm going to go to college then. And I ended up going to college, and then the kid who failed his way through high school, I was like dean's list and graduated summa cum laude. And
did something
like
once you got in there, did your why change? Like, how were you able to harness that energy? And
my whys were always for other people. Do what I needed to do to feel, or to be wanted, or to in order to have her, I had to do that. And I had to work really hard, because I failed out. I mean, not only was I expelled, but I failed every class. I didn't know basic math. So my first year, I spent every single day my freshman year with the math tutor, just to get to the basic level I could be in college.
Wow. Well, that's impressive.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So yeah, what about your college experience led to where you are?
None of it.
None of it.
Well,
all right.
No, I mean, I guess that's not really true. Everything kind of makes you who you are. What's funny is there was a theater school there. And again, it was just one of those things where it's like, I was never good at, I always fantasized, never had the courage to to do it.
Sure.
Probably lacking courage was probably a big through line, like real courage, like the kind of self-discipline to do the things for myself. And anyway, I remember I always walk by this theater school, and like I'd even go into the theater school and like sit in the thing and look at the stage and like, wow, what a life that would be. I just never did. I went into my counselor's office, and I was like, what job pays the most right now? And they said finance. So I got a finance degree.
Wow.
And that was kind of that. I guess what did change was the college thing. The girl and I broke up, and when I was 22, she was going to move to Texas, and I was either going to move to Texas or I was going to come to California and try. And I was like, I'm going to go be, and really it was kind of to her. I'm either going to come see you, or I'm going to go become a big Hollywood movie star.
Oh, so even without going into that theater, you're like, I'm going to just go to LA and.
Yeah. Better choose carefully, because I might be a big movie star.
You'll see. I'll show you.
Yeah. So she chose, she said, okay, go to California.
Thank God.
And there
Thank God she did.
Well, and you had your answer then, right?
That was the first time though. So I said, okay, I'm going to show you. I was broke in probably a month, and I had to move home with my tail between my legs. And then, I got a finance job and did the whole thing. I was like, all right, well, this is just going to be my life. And then the recession in, what was that? 2008,
7.
This is a finance job back in Minnesota.
Yeah. I worked for a company called Accenture.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And they ended up, they were like, laying people off for quite a while. And it got to a point where, if you took the layoff, you could get a higher severance. I chose that. I packed up my car a week later and I moved to California, and I've been here since now.
Wow,
So I decided I was going to do that. Yeah.
Second time's a charm.
So second time's a charm. And
so that was 2008. You moved around there? 9,
I think
10.
No, I mean, it wasn't, I guess it wasn't a week. I was probably waited a year. I think I got here in 2010. So my timeline might be a little off. They didn't lay me off right away. I made it through a bit of that recession. Maybe 2008 or 9, they laid me off. Yeah.
And so, and when you got out here and you started doing,
I got out here, and I ended up on my drive out here, I applied for a finance job at Warner Brothers, and I got that job, and that kind of again led to like the fantasy. I would just walk the lot. And just sneak onto sets and like watch them do this stuff.
When you're doing finance for Warner Brothers, like what kind of work is that? Like I mean,
so I was doing the back end participation like numbers. So like these big actors, but it was basically like old films. So Brad Pitt, for example, you have all of his like Thelma and Louise and
Legends of the Fall and stuff like that. Things like that. So if they had back end points, you were calculating what to send them?
Yeah, and I would compile all of that. Now listen, this was my job title. I don't think I ever did anything. I don't know that I ever actually did any reports in any of my jobs, which is funny. I made it a lot of years. I think I got away with things because maybe people liked me or didn't like me. Maybe they just didn't know what to do with me.
Is that normal in those jobs, that people are just kind of not doing what they're supposed to do but get along?
Look at the government.
Well, no, I guess so. Yeah.
maybe I don't think, I mean, I never did one thing I think I was supposed to do.
Okay, hold on, let's go back
now.
For because you were trying to get away with something, or just because you like,
I don't even know what I was supposed to do, to be honest with you.
Poor leadership, maybe.
But, yeah. Well, the funny thing is this is a perfect example of me. I got let go, well, for probably a number of things, but what really did it was I went to my boss's boss, and I went to my boss's boss, and I told them that I thought that the department was being poorly managed.
Oh, bye-bye. You're gone.
There you go.
And I thought that there was better ways that we could be doing things.
Yet you didn't submit one report, so you can go take a hike.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, so how did the acting start though, Billy, for you?
So was that. It was I left, that kind of got the juices, like the really, juice flowing. But when I got let go from there, I got into an acting class. I mean, I maybe it started just before I left. I don't know. It's kind of blurry, but I remember I started an acting class because I they paid me a little severance. And then I started taking acting classes. And then I booked like a Taco Bell commercial, and then I did got the thing, and then I booked like a Hawaii 5. So like little tiny things just kind of kept me floating, but not enough. And because I left that job, I didn't really have a lot of money, and my family helped me out when they could. I lived on a sailboat for a while, which was like $300 a month.
That sounds amazing.
Where in Marina Del Rey?
In Marina Del Rey, yeah.
Wow, how big was this sailboat?
It's like I think it was a 27-footer. Just a tiny under deck, so it had a little hot plate, little fridge.
So sleepless in Seattle of you.
Yeah,
because I actually thought about doing that for a while at some point, but by choice. But how was it sleeping on the boat?
Well, at first it was scary because like it was either sleep in my car or sleep in this boat that a friend of mine luckily had. So I remember the first night I went in there, like everything I owned was in the back of my Jeep Grand Cherokee. And I went, and it's like, it didn't have like a door. It had these wood panels that you pull off,
Yeah.
Little deadbolt lock on it, or a little like spin lock. And I remember opening it up, and I'm sitting there, and it's like nighttime, and I'm just like, what am I doing? Yeah. This is my life now.
It doesn't feel terribly secure. Like if someone wanted to break into the boat, they probably could.
Oh yeah, and I know you're familiar with Marina Del Rey. Like, there's homeless guys sleeping on the docks, and
Oh, everywhere.
you know, but you know, funny enough is like it turned out to be like the first. I mean, this is the period in my life when I probably drank too much and did a lot of things I probably wasn't supposed to be doing. So like um, the first, several months, I think I was there for a year and a half, but um, at some point something switched, and I was like, there was all that period of time I'm like, I don't have any money. I might have to go home, back to Minnesota, but something switched, and I was like, I'm gonna be here. I'm doing this thing no matter what. And it became like sort of the most peaceful, serene. I stopped drinking for a period of time, the first time, and then it was just became this, like, I got in great shape, and it was just like kind of a really beautiful time in my life. Ended up being, and then that's when I booked Days of Our Lives. Was yeah, was kind of at the end of that stint, and then that allowed me to start this beautiful, amazing life that I live now.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah. So how was the transition to like working on, obviously you hadn't dealt with that much material, certainly on Hawaii 5-0 or any of those things. So like,
I worked very hard. It's one thing I've always been able to do when I needed, like,
you turned it on.
Yeah, I just turned it on. And I was terrified I still am probably. But I remember when I first started, I would have, the next week, you get the episodes a week before, so I'll say when I was shooting a lot at the beginning, I would memorize 6 episodes. I'd have 6 episodes memorized the week before we were even going to shoot them.
Wow.
That's how hard I worked and was prepared. And I did that, and I just cared a lot, and the funny thing is I almost didn't take the job because, I didn't know anything about really soap operas other than the stigma of them. And I remember thinking like, I want to be like, I want to do the films,
the movies, and the
My manager was like, "Man, you're living on a sailboat,
right?
Maybe take the job, And luckily, it turned out to be the best thing, ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's awesome, man. I love it.
So it's been how many years now?
Going on 10. Yeah, maybe 10.
That's a good run.
Yeah. I left for I think a year and a half or 2 in the middle somewhere.
Yeah.
As
we do.
As I needed to, but
right.
Yeah,
sometimes you need to. Sometimes it gives you, a rebirth to just step outside.
The other side of my Gemini was
you're like, F this, I'm out of here.
It was flaring up.
No, I don't think they wanted me much anymore, but
he didn't fill out that report he was supposed to. And
I didn't do any report.
You're done, bro. You're done. You got no report.
That's
so awesome.
So man. not knowing myself, not knowing much about Days. I know you came in as a recast, but right, like
Casey Dietrich was an actor who played the part before me.
Right. So how do you approach your acting differently now?
Now than I did then?
Yeah, I guess so. Like, what, 10 years into it, like how,
Steve, what do I do? I don't do anything.
Well, like, like how, now that you've been doing it for 10 years, you were working hard at the beginning. I think now, how do you stay present?
Well, I think that's the thing. I'm more present. In the beginning, it was taking all the acting classes that I've taken and trying to put that which doesn't translate to real work, really, other than basic fundamentals, but like now I've played this character for so long that the character isn't somebody else's character. I don't need to do research or figure out the guy's life. I've lived his life for 10 years.
Right.
So all I need to do now is show up and every once in a while, I think the only bit that I kind of still use is, and you guys know this, like sometimes the dialogue is, you aren't necessarily saying what you're doing, in the scene. So like, I'll do some work on that. Like if I'm like, this line doesn't make sense, but in my head, I'm going to say this, but I'm going to say this line.
Sure. Yeah. You kind of have to personalize it a little bit.
Yeah,
So it
but
makes sense. But
Well,
But
but I
like,
mean, you're identifying what your character is trying to get in the scene, even if the language is not giving
yeah,
you that. So that's good work, right?
but I know the relationships and I know the
Right.
character, and so now it's like just for the lack of a, I show up. I think what I allow myself more to do now, than I did, and I did some good, really good work back in the day. Probably, I don't know, I don't know whether it's better or worse, but I think now is like I just have fun. I have a
yeah.
lot more fun. I put a lot of pressure on myself in those first
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
5 years.
Well, and it's
I
hard
mean,
to.
you were nominated for Emmy, so obviously I think
Yeah,
17 and 19 or something. So you were doing some great work.
yeah,
But now it's interesting because we learn all these things and then over time we have to kind of unlearn them so we can
yeah,
be present and be in the moment.
yeah,
And the obviously the luxury we have is that you are playing the same character. You have gone through the arcs and all the emotional stuff already. So there's not a lot of prep. Sometimes if you know you have a big scene coming, maybe you do a little extra preparation,
yeah,
but it's just making it look easy. That's what acting is.
Sure.
Like just being there and listening, be present
yeah.
and get rid of all that other crap,
Yeah, I
So
think the hard thing is sometimes that is not playing the truth. I mean, you and I had some pretty funny stuff, um,
dude,
and
yes.
sometimes I feel like you have a choice. You go, okay, am I gonna play the truth of the moment,
Sure.
which is this is funny,
Right.
and
Right.
or am I going to play into the the this heroic kind of thing that soap operas tend to put men into, where you lower the voice a little bit,
Sure.
Yeah.
and what Steve, you and I have had blast because we both choose to kind of take the present moment route.
Yes. Yeah. We're just playing it how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Billy's the kind of guy like, there's people I laugh with, and he's one of them there. Well, I don't laugh with anyone else really there, but he's one that we can go. He's like, dude, don't. It's like with working with Maurice. He's like, Steve, don't do it. Don't look at me. Do not look at me during this scene, or I'm
Yeah.
dead. And there was a few times where we couldn't get through it,
Yeah.
and then we had to kind of buckle down and get through
Those are
it.
the
But
best though. Like,
I know it's the best. It's the greatest thing ever to have fun and laugh. And,
yeah. Because it's like, what do we do? I mean, at the end of the day, we're all like soaps, they can get, it's all like, what's changed a lot is I used to think that I could, what's that like, when you try to be something that pushes against like a movable object, basically. Like I used to think like I'm gonna do the work I imagined I would be doing. Like I'm Tom Hardy, in my brain, right?
Right.
And I'm gonna try to change this soap opera thing and try to make it good. And
yeah.
and like that's impossible. You're never gonna be able to do it. But like now, I remember it was during this. It was actually when I came back from the show, or when I had left. Then I came back, and I remember I had this like I was brainwashed or something, and I was like, and the first all that insecurity and stuff pops into your head. And you go, "This is stupid. Nobody's gonna buy this shit. I can't do it. I suck. Whatever it is."
Right.
So, and then I was like, if Steven Spielberg asked me to do this,
Right.
Yep. Exactly right.
I would do it, and I would
Yeah.
do it with a smile on my face, or like Twin Peaks. I love Twin Peaks. I think it's hilarious, and I'm like, this is Twin Peaks. I'm doing a genre, like, so and it just changed. I just had more fun with it. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm
Sure.
gonna play the genre, and in my life, I was like, I was trying to change the genre, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna embrace the genre for what it is.
Yeah.
And I found that like, even now some of my stuff, it's like it's that Emmy time, and I'm never really one. I hate going through all this stuff, but I'm like, there's some moments where I'm like, it's always funny. The moments that I embrace, are always the moments I end up liking more. The ones I don't fight. When I try to manipulate and go like, I have a big scene and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good. I can really do some acting. I fucking always hate it.
Right. Yeah. No, I hear you, man. It's those ones that you're like, oh, this could be this could be the show, and then you overdo it, and you're like, oh man, that didn't come out like I thought. Like in the moment, it felt really good, and then I see this, and it looks like I'm like I'm either trying too hard or no, I absolutely hear you, man.
It's not easy, man. It's a balance. It's
just
a
get out of
balance.
your way. Like what? Like
Yes.
we're not.
Yeah.
We're not doing
it.
anything special. Just say the words, and I like that's sometimes I'll have to remind myself that, like especially the hard lines. You know, we'll spend 10 minutes going, how do I say this wild line? I go, oh, just say it.
Just say it.
Let the words fall out of your mouth and move on.
Right.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah.
Daytime, buddy. Daytime.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, hey, I got a lot of admiration for your route to this work and the way you look at it and your kind of approach to everything these days. That's
thanks, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. You've overcome a lot, Billy. It's awesome.
Yeah.
You have. I know you have. So
well, we all have in some form.
Sure. 100%.
Yeah.
But you know.
Where can our listeners find do you have social media that you want our listeners to follow you at or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
That's the first time ever.
Is there any other creative?
I have some, you know, if they're following me, I'm sure that, you know,
sure.
You can find them.
If they want to find me, they can find me. If they don't want to find me, they don't have to find me.
Do you have any other creative, like if you know, like if Days isn't getting your creative juices flowing all the time, is there something else you put it into?
Yeah, you know, my wife had started writing, and she really found a love, and like we did this film that she wrote, produced, called Last Chance. So we've started doing, now she's working on a couple more that we might try to do here. And
is she on social media? Can someone follow that?
Yeah, her thing is Gina Comparetto. Yeah, actually Comparetto or something like that. And I think her that film's on there. That's a lot of fun. It's like an 80s genre horror is what she really likes.
Nice.
So stuff that has a little bit of humor in it.
Love that. My favorite movies ever.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome,
Cool,
man.
Awesome, dude. Billy, thanks, brother. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great
guys,
to really great to visit with you.
I feel like we didn't reciprocate much because there's like, I want to know so much more about you guys.
They already know. Our listeners know enough about us.
Okay, that's fair.
That's true.
Billy Flynn, everybody.
Billy Flynn.
Please subscribe to our YouTube channel.